We are live, and you have a happy host today wearing his Raiders gear. What a great night it was for me, Tyler. But overall, not our best week there in the NFL. Give me your overall takeaways before we dive in game by game of what you saw on the gridiron yesterday.
A whole bunch of just money going down the drain. That's what I seen on the gridiron yesterday spread. Instead of doing teasers this week, I thought it was cheaper on the odds to take money line parlays, and flipping those from teasers to money line parlays went all down the drain for me. It was just bad week. I have no real takeaways I can't tell you anything about football because I was tilted from 1 p.m. till the end. So that's all I got.
You know, it's funny because we were going to do the NBA tags. And so you were like, no, I'm gonna build lineups. We'll jump on right around kick. So I ended up, just because I was waiting for you, I ended up building some lineups too, and I actually did pretty well on that, even though we did miss some parts here. Let's start for 6:30 in the morning with me, dude. I thought the Colts were just like this layup. That wasn't the case, but they did get it done. 10-6. I mean, that was an easy under. The Mac Jones experiment is over. I mean, they keep benching him, right? They keep benching him. Yeah, Richie, the Bengals cost us a lot of money yesterday. So basically, Mac Jones is over. We don't know if Belichick is out. You know, JC said he was coaching for his job. Like, he's still working, so he's obviously not. What did you think of that game, and did you even watch any of it? I ended up watching the whole second half.
I didn't watch a single second of it. I woke up, I think it was already halftime. No real takeaways. I mean, Mac Jones has always stunk. Belichick will probably walk away at the end of the season. He's not going to get fired. It's my real only takeaways from that game.
Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to think from what I saw. It's not all on Mac Jones. I mean, that's just like a terrible team and a terrible offense. And I think if this was like Madden or whatever, his skill set is fine from what I've been reading, because, I love going on Reddit on Monday morning to see all the fan bases go crazy. A lot of talk about Mac Jones' attitude really souring the whole team on him, whether it be his offensive linemen or his coaching staff, which is why I think they're a little harder on him than he deserves. But to be fair, he's obviously not the answer, and the Patriots are going to have a top pick. I saw one of those tankathon simulations today, though. Wouldn't it suck for New England to just land at 3? Because then they end up with Marvin Harrison, right? I mean, is it pretty? Would you feel that
they would move up?
But who's going to trade him? Why would one or two trade?
If one or two is going to be Chicago at some point, if they're still locked in on Fields, maybe they just move back a spot and take Harrison.
I don't think they are. The one I saw had Fields going. I mean, not Fields. Williams going number 1 to Chicago. Drake May going number 2 to New York. Marvin Harrison going
New York
number 3.
gets 1 and Chicago's sitting 2-4, and they don't want May, they could easily stick with Fields, trade back a spot.
How would they not want Drake May, though?
If they think Fields is – if they're locked in on Caleb's – if Caleb's here and Drake May's here and Justin Fields is here, why not just get a little more draft compensation if you think that could be your guy? Get a lineman and your receiver, 2 in the top 5. I think you could do that. I think you could see that happening.
Yeah, I personally don't, but what do we know, right? I also thought that Bryce Young would be better than C.J. Stroud. So what do I know? The Cleveland Browns, and I mean, maybe he could be, right? Terrible situation for him there. Cleveland Browns got the win over the Ravens, Tyler. That would have cost us our parlay, but the Bengals lost as well. That was one of the teasers that I made. The second one's still alive, of course, with the Bills tonight that we talked about, because I did the afternoon game. What did you see here, man? This is the Ravens keep blowing these second half leads. They gave up 24 points in the second half yesterday, and they've consistently done this. That's even why when I was in Reno last time, I bet the Ravens the first half when they played against the Titans, because it's just like, why would you not just bet the first half on this team if you're going to take them? So, okay, we understand that from a betting perspective. Just take the Ravens first half if you like them or your numbers like them. But overall, it's so funny. I hear all these people talking about Ravens are the best team. Are the Ravens the best team? My buddy who comes over, who's a complete casual NFL fan, we're working out and watching. And he goes, "Boy, is Baltimore the best team?" And I'm just, I don't know. These second half collapses, you have to be concerned for a team that is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. For example, if the season, fast forward to the end of the season, the Ravens are world champions. Is that crazy? Not to me. But this has got to be a concern, and I don't know how they fix it. You had to have watched this game, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sold on them before the game. Locked them into teasers / moneyline parlays. They did absolutely nothing. Lamar stunk it up in the second half. Richie Small said it in the chat. Lamar has the same amount of passing touchdowns as Mac Jones. This team has just got a nice schedule and played very well against bad teams. I'm not sold on them come playoff time, but they're going to be a top 3 seed in the AFC just due to the way it's all going to play out. But I think they're frauds. Cleveland's just they're just there at this point too. Like, I don't think they're much of a threat.
And I want to clarify, when we say frauds, we're talking about a Super Bowl contenders. We're not saying this is a bad team or a bad program or they need to blow it all up. But I think it's tough to see this team making the Super Bowl. Any more takeaways from the Ravens loss there?
No, not really.
Like, what do you think of Deshaun?
I mean, he doesn't look good. I don't know. Once the second half started to go down the drain, I was like, here goes all my bets, because Cincinnati couldn't hold it together either. So I just went into rage mode. I couldn't tell you what football stuff happened.
Okay. Well, I'll take the lead on some of this here. Maybe because I won that Colts bet to start the day, I wasn't as tilted. But I still don't think he looks that good. I mean, the statistics were similar, right? Deshaun, 213, 1 touchdown. Lamar, 223 for 1 touchdown. I thought Lamar looked so much better than Deshaun, even just throwing the ball. I'm taking out the running ability here. So like I said, this is more a downgrade to me of the Ravens than an upgrade of the Browns. The Browns do have that fierce defense. Of course, they don't make that comeback without getting stopped. So let's give that defense credit. They scored 17 points to start the game and then just fell apart, only 14 through the last 3 quarters there. So we know what to make of the Ravens, and they got a big game this week, right, Tyler, on Thursday Night Football, and I'll be looking forward to talking about that with you and Meg there on Thursday here. But that's going to be a big game, and I can't wait to see how that one turns out. Tyler, I want to victory lap this one. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 23-19. It shouldn't have even been this close. Kenny Pickett only throws for 126 yards. Your thoughts there on the Steelers, and give me the feeling what it's like in Pennsylvania out there.
I mean, their offense still sucks. They were able to run the ball somewhat, but they made Jordan Love look like a good quarterback.
Which is bad because he's not good.
They almost blew the game. Somehow they're 6-3 and holding the 5th seed in the AFC. So we'll take it.
Did you see my retweet? They're 6-3 and they've been outgained in all 9 games.
Yep.
Like, do you know how we were talking about the Vikings last year? Where the stats don't show you this is a winning team. They're that team this year. The only difference is I think that when you're based on defense and not offense, it's a little different.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, it's an ugly game of football. Like, they're not beating any of the top teams in the AFC. They're not beating Miami. They're not beating Miami. They're not beating Jacksonville. They're not beating the Chiefs. They might not even beat the Texans.
I think they could beat Jacksonville.
I don't think they can.
Why not?
Because they could beat you either way. They could either use Etienne and beat you up on the ground, or Lawrence could drop back and throw on you.
All right, because this is naturally, I'm just going to skip. I usually go in order, but let's just skip straight to the Jacksonville game. Give you guys your props. I was absolutely wrong. I was going to come on here and joke that was a coin flip game, right? And I was just on the wrong side, but it's not even that funny. The 49ers, 34-3. This game wasn't close at all.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It was the easiest bet on the board. They were coming off of 3 straight losses. Everyone was back in the building. They had to get a win. The Jags won, 5 in a row off a bye, off of playing those London games, a Thursday night game, and their only 1 o'clock game being the Steelers. They were bound to lay an egg, and that defense showed up for the Niners. You seen Chase Young and Nick Bosa both get in there, get that strip sack together. This offense is back. It's just once their guys are there, they're going to look like a top tier team, and they were all there. They did what they did, and they just dominated this game.
All right, and when we talk about, my support of the Jaguars last week, I wasn't necessarily saying that this 49ers defense would get shut out, offense, right? Where I'm really disappointed in the Jaguars and downgrading them is that the defense is offense. They should have scored more. I don't care if 49ers are the best defense in the league, which they're not. But even if they were, you can't put up 3 points.
They had a beat up O-line, too, coming into that game versus that pass rush was just never like a mixture for success.
No, it's not. But a lot of teams have beat up O-lines, and they still get things done.
I think they're missing their 2 best guys, though.
Okay. You know what the real problem is? Trevor Lawrence is not living up to that top 5 potential. He's a top 10 guy that we're saying is a top 5 guy, right?
I mean, who's better than him? Give me 4 guys.
Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes.
The first name you could throw it down the drain. Josh Allen's not better than Trevor Lawrence.
Yes, he is. He's completely carrying that Buffalo Bills team.
Where's he carrying them to? They're not in the playoff picture right now, and
they will be by the end of the season.
No, they're not. They're going to miss out on the playoffs, and they're going to lose again tonight.
There's no one in the chat that would take Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen.
You had the statement right the first time. Go ahead and say it. Our guy Kegs in the chat. I'm interested to hear his take on this.
Everyone's going to want Josh Allen. You're going way too far here.
I think Trevor Lawrence is better than him.
Wow. Okay.
Everyone just sucks off Josh Allen because he'll throw the ball at 1,000 miles an hour, but he throws a pick 4 times out of like every 15 throws. Lawrence is way better of a decision maker. They both can run the ball. Lawrence is just as big as Allen.
No, Josh is a way better runner.
He runs the ball a little more physical, but Lawrence can run. He just doesn't do it as much. We've seen those days at Clemson. Like it's Trevor Lawrence.
I think it's Josh Allen. So, all right, here's my next takeaway about that Jaguars offense, right? So I just downgraded. I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence sucks. I'm not saying he's terrible, right? I'm just saying he's not that top 5 guy that we were hoping. I'm not saying even saying that he can't get there, but he's not that right now. What's an issue though? Calvin Ridley? He's not a number 1. You know what? And this is, of course, revisionist history. We got
the chat split. Clyde's on my side. Richie Small's on your side.
Looks cool. Like I'm glad that I'm with Richie.
Keg doesn't want to break the ties.
Yeah, Keg loves you, Tyler. He knows I'm right though.
He knows ball. He knows there's a guy that's just he knows a guy that can throw an interception every game, and it's Josh Allen.
Doesn't matter. So could Brett Favre. He's still a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but Josh Allen, his interceptions, you'll watch him throw them, and it's like there wasn't a receiver anywhere near that ball. Where were you throwing that? Then he'll throw a 60-yard bomb that Stephon Diggs has to launch out and catch with one hand, and all you'll hear is the announcers talk about how great of a throw Josh Allen just made.
Look at what he's working with. He's got Stephon Diggs and nothing. Like his tight ends can't block at all. Gabe Davis is not good.
I mean, he's better than a lot of
who
in the league.
No, he's not.
Who has the better weapons? Allen or Lawrence?
Lawrence.
I'd say Lawrence got a better running back. That's maybe it.
Stephon Diggs
and Gabe Davis are better than Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. And Dalton Kincaid's better than Evan Ingram.
No, he's not. There's no way. He can't block. So as soon as he goes out there, you already know it's a passing down. So just him being involved in the game is such an advantage for the defense.
Buffalo's got the better weapons. Jacksonville has the better quarterback.
Oh my gosh. All right, here's my final statement on this. Right, we spent a lot of time on this game. I wish JC.
Who were your other guys you said were better than him? Because I knew Josh Allen was going to be the one we debated on.
You can't even argue. Joe Burrow. You're not going to argue that.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to argue that one, right?
No.
Justin Herbert. You're not going to argue that one, right?
I'd say if that's a close one. He's another one where everyone's just like, oh my God, like physical specimen, looks great when he does good things, but he just doesn't put together the wins. Like
because he's on the worst team with the worst coach.
Yeah.
I can't believe you like Trevor Lawrence this much. Hurts is better. What do you think of that?
He's a better football player. As throwing the ball, I think Lawrence is a better
But we're talking
thrower.
about football. Who would you rather have on the Steelers? Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence for your team?
For the way we run our offense?
Yeah.
I don't know if Hurts works in our offense. Like he needs the offense built around him. Like I think if you put Hurts in a Matt Canada offense, he looks like how Lamar did when he was in Flacco's offense, where it's like, well, we know this dude's talented, but this is not the system you want him in. It's not working.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Well, my final thing, I'm trying to get to this for a while. I don't think Calvin Ridley's the number one. And I think this is where, as bettors, we have to do this. We have to do this. Have to. We have to see how fantasy is skewing everybody's perceptions of these players. Because Calvin Ridley had that season in 2020 where, according to he was like a top 5 fantasy receiver, right? But he's not a top 5 receiver. I mean, he's not even close. He's got to be one of the worst number 1 receivers in the league. Are they playing him wrong? Yeah, like he should be in the slot, but still.
I agree and I disagree at the same time. And not even like me fully disagreeing on my side. It's just when you hear interviews from these guys like corners and other wide receivers in the league and guys that are retired and they're like, who's your top 5 guys? A lot of these current guys still list him up there. They're
okay, like, but that's just like, do you remember how players used to always say that about Carmelo?
They get to his numbers and everything. They go, I know he's not producing, but when you watch the film, like he still does everything right. He's getting open. Like he's routing these guys.
I don't think he's getting open though.
I haven't broke it down to that point where these guys are saying.
And I haven't either. I'm going off
what talent. I still think the talent's there.
Oh, I do. I think the talent's there too. I'm just saying, as a number one, so for example, let's go back to fantasy, right? In best ball, he went up from a number 4 receiver to a number 2 receiver, right? So he's up there with. Go ahead.
Good. No, I was going to say the missing of Zay Jones could be what also is making him look a little weird because that once Zay Jones comes back, Zay Jones goes on the outside. Ridley can move around to everywhere else. That could open up a lot of stuff.
Okay, it can. But if you're like a real stud, like a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a Devontae Adams, right? Like where we had put him up there, Zay Jones doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, but in the system they play too.
I'm just saying they thought they got him a real number 1 and they didn't.
I mean, they had their real number 1 already.
Who?
Christian Kirk.
Do you think he's the real number 1?
The numbers show it. Ever since he showed up last year and got the $70 million, and everyone was like, "Why'd they give him all that money? That was a terrible contract." And I had the take of it might look bad now, but down the line, like if he produces, that contract could look like a steal. I'd say where he's at now, he probably gets more money if you try and pay him now. So I'd say he's their wide receiver 1. He tears up man coverage. Like that's their guy. You see it with Lawrence. Lawrence looks for him on the big plays.
Yeah. All right. Well, obviously pretty disappointed there. I took my L there. I mean, wow, Tyler. I mean, at least I knew I lost it early. Those type of losses don't even hurt. Really, because you're just on the wrong side. All right, let's keep going and talking about these games. Let's just get through the painful stuff first. We talked about the Steelers and the Packers. The Texans, man. So, and I was going to go.
I'll give my take on just this team as a whole right now.
Go ahead.
Could they make the playoffs?
Yes.
100%. They're in the 7 seed right now.
Okay.
Could they win a matchup in the playoffs? There's maybe a chance. I mean, the Chiefs probably get the bye. They could draw Baltimore or Jacksonville or Miami in round 1. I feel like they
are all vulnerable.
Yeah, they could roll into any of those places and win. Here's the guys that are sitting in the corner smoking crack take. This quarterback, Stroud, he's great. Looks good. Makes my Ohio State take look bad. There ain't a fucking chance in hell this dude's winning MVP.
Oh, I agree, man. I agree.
Don't waste your money and go bet this dude MVP. There's only been one guy to ever win Rookie of the Year and MVP ever together. It was Jim Brown.
Who it is?
It was fucking Jim Brown. So
how old that is? Well, I was looking at a picture of him. Like, it's just crazy.
It's never going to happen again. Another thing is, you see all the trends with this MVP award. You have to win your division. They probably don't do that. You have to be a 1 or a 2 seed in your conference. There's no way they're getting there. And you look at the guys all in front of them. So if the Chiefs start to teeter off and Mahomes doesn't get it because he probably walks into it if they keep the 1 seed, well, then they just flip to the NFC and they hand it to Hurts. Oh, if the Eagles start to slip up and the Chiefs do too, well, that probably means Baltimore slid into the 1 seed in the AFC. Here you go, Lamar. Here's your second award. Well, they didn't do it either. Here's the bet that I think makes sense. And he's 30-1 still. If the Eagles slip up and the Chiefs slip up and say they look at Lamar, they're like, maybe we don't want to give him a second one. The Lions are probably the team that takes the 1 seed in the NFC. Jared Goff, 4th in passing yards, has 14 touchdowns, the most in the leagues at 19. He's still 30-1. You're telling me he can't make a late push for that with an easy schedule? I think that's the only guy worth the bet at this point outside of the top 4 guys.
Yeah, I mean, I know Keg is saying he loves the debates. I can't argue with anything you're saying. And we talked last week, when you said CJ.
Like when you look at Detroit too, like you could argue when you look at the Eagles, it's like, oh, well, Hurts has the best offensive line, great defense or whatever. Like maybe he's not the
Detroit has a top 3 offensive line, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, but their defense is just kind of, I'd say it's middle of the pack. Like they're up and coming young. Johnny Nelson Lions don't even win their division.
I love seeing Jonathan Nelson. You got to give Jonathan Nelson a pass, right?
Yeah, I got to.
Even though he front runs with the Lakers, he's in there. He's in the trenches, right? Of despair, trying to root for that Vikings team.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not a pit of despair because we talked about him sneaking into the playoffs last week on this show, and they're sitting in the 7 seed now too. But yeah, I mean, I think the Goff to win MVP could be a sneaky bet if they don't want to give it to one of these top tier guys at the top.
Well, let's talk about Jonathan Nelson's Vikings, who get the 27-19 win, but it wasn't as easy as that final score looked. Vikings only scored 3 points in the second half after scoring 24 in the first. Jameis Winston storms back 16 points in the second half to get them up to 19. But unfortunately, Jameis gives and he takes away, right? As those interceptions cost him at the end of the game. From a fantasy or a DFS perspective, if Winston's in there, Olave is like a top 5, top 10 receiver, right? He's up there with the elite. If Derek Carr's in there.
Your boy Derek Carr's in there, their wide receivers are going to jail because they can't even keep their mental health complete. Like Chris Olave went to jail this year. Michael Thomas is throwing bricks through car windows. Like, your boy Derek Carr needs investigated spread. He's made wide receivers go absolutely insane ever since we gave AB to you guys. He ruined him.
No, you can't blame Carr for AB. Blame Vontaze Burfict for that. That's Vontaze Burfict's fault.
You see what happened with Ruggs, and now he's got these couple guys.
You can't blame him for Ruggs.
Derek Carr,
I shouldn't even be laughing.
Yeah, Derek Carr, he needs investigated. Like, this dude's ruining wide receivers' minds. He stinks.
I think it's about time.
Thank God those defensive linemen tabletopped his ass and took him out of the game. Even though Winston's going to throw some picks, he's going to give them wide receivers.
At least it's going to be fun.
I think it's absolutely hilarious. Like, you've seen Olave, just the way he runs routes.
Yeah.
Once Winston came on the field, it was like that dude, like, his eyes opened up. He was like, I'm actually going to get some chances here. Yeah. Running full speed down the field to get these long shots now.
He also has a quarterback that can overthrow him.
Yeah, and
if you're fast, that's like awesome.
And you've seen it in the end zone. You just got to give a guy like that a chance.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best highlights were from
70% of receivers probably don't make that catch with Olave made in the end zone. He snagged that ball, got both feet down. Yeah, Winston might not be the guy, but Carr definitely is not the guy. He got to go.
Yeah, okay, and it's weird though because I think they gave him a 4-year deal, didn't they?
They did something weird, but maybe it's one of those ones where it's like they can buy out after a year. But there is another one, like, where do they go? Like, if they go away from Carr.
Everybody needs to just draft and develop.
But, like, if they're not going to draft they're still holding their division title right now, so they're still the 4 seed. If they hold that 4 seed, they're not going to draft high enough to get a quarterback. They've already traded the last few years, so they don't have ammunition to go up and move up and give up picks. They might, if they go away from Derek Carr, be the team that just looks around and goes, I guess we're giving Mac Jones a second shot.
Oh no, as bad as Carr is, he's 10 times better than Mac Jones.
I agree, but look around. I mean, where else are they going?
I think I've said it before. I think this draft class is so deep.
Or maybe they go. Maybe they're the team that looks at the Bears and they're like, you got to get rid of Fields now. Give us Fields. Or if the Giants go up and get Caleb, they're like, you got to do something with Daniel Jones.
You can't afford Carr and DJ at the same time, though. That's why I think you have to draft.
I don't know. I'd have to look into that Derek Carr contract. I feel like there's definitely help.
I'm going to look it up right now. But while we do that, talk to me about the Vikings. Okay, they get another win. We were wondering, hey, is this, cool story of Josh Dobbs? Does it come to an end this week? Doesn't seem to look that way. Justin Jefferson's coming back. And I told everybody at the beginning of the season, guys like Mike Tomlin and Brian Flores are teachers, which means even though they have a below average talent-wise defense, that by week 10 or week 11, even though they have some of the worst talent in the league, they're going to be at least an average defense. I feel like that's come true. What do you think of the Minnesota Vikings and their chances here to win the division, as Jonathan Nelson has predicted?
Yeah, zero chance there. Because if you go look at the line, just go look at the Lions' schedule.
I know
they're going to be favored in every game the rest of the year, and they play Dallas as the one game they're probably not favored in. So they probably end the year. What's that going to be? 14-3, maybe somewhere in there. So I don't see the Vikings catching them, but I could see them holding that 7 seed in the NFC. I mean, I don't see any of the teams on the outside of this playoff picture looking in and getting that spot. I don't see the Buccaneers climbing up. I don't see the Commanders. I don't see the Falcons, and I don't see the Packers coming up to get that spot. But they're probably not getting any higher than the 7 seed because Dallas probably continues to win games. They're going to hold the 5 or the 6, and Seattle will do the same in the other seed. So they're going to play the Lions or the Niners as the 2 seed. So I don't think they can win a playoff game, but I think they could. They'll hold that spot. They'll get a playoff game. They don't win one. They're one and done.
Okay. I would say with everything that went on this season, that's a win.
Yeah, if they can hold on getting to the playoffs after losing Kirk, picking up Dobbs, I mean, it's definitely a step in the right direction, and it looks good. So.
He says we plays Bears, Raiders, Broncos, Packers, and Detroit 2 times each.
Just to compare it to that one real quick. Well, he has that in the chat.
Yeah, I think I know we're bouncing all around here, but I did look up Derek Carr's salary. So $30 million guaranteed for next year, and then nothing guaranteed for those last 2 years. Even though it says 450, really it was 231, 2 year, $31 million deal. But $30 million of it next year. They only put $1 million on the cap this year. So
the Saints will eat. They've done it before. They will eat dead cap for a year if they have to.
I'm just thinking they bring him back for 1 year and they'll move on after that.
Yeah, maybe. Could be right.
Even as a backup.
But yeah, looking at this Lions schedule, I mean, It's pretty easy. Home for the Bears next week. Home for the Packers. At the Saints. At the Bears.
Probably win.
Home for the Broncos.
Probably
at
win.
the Vikings. At the Cowboys. That's the one game you could probably guarantee a loss.
That's the best ball finals, right?
Yeah. And then last game of the year, Lions at home for the Vikings. So I mean, maybe if they take a weird loss that last
game. Pretty easy schedule there.
Yeah, maybe that last game of the year Lions. Could be a weird one that ends up for the division, but I don't see it.
Okay. Well, you want to move on?
Yeah, we can move on.
You talked about the Buccaneers as a chance. And I mean, don't look now. This team's 4-5, and they got a great win. And I know I ate this on the CJ Stroud when I used this in my handicap last week as a reason why I thought that we'd like the Bengals. But I think with these quarterbacks like Will Levis, we should only back the teams at home. So I think he's going to look way better once he gets back at home. I think the crowd noise and the Buccaneers' good defense had gave them a lot of problems. I'll take the L here, Tyler. Once again, you were right. We kind of talked about before the show. I need to listen to you a little more.
I think we need to just rewind a little bit and just not categorize these guys like Will Levis and these guys with CJ Stroud. They're not anywhere near the talent level of this guy. CJ Stroud's already a top, 12 to 15
10 quarterback?
Yeah,
top
like he's
10
already
probably.
up there. We don't even know if Will Levis is a top 32 quarterback. He had one good game where he threw 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to a top 10 receiver. I'm not sold that he's actually good.
Okay, and that's fine. But my point is, with these rookie quarterbacks, and you're right, we're taking CJ Stroud out, but I tried to do it with Stroud last week. I need to go back to only back them at home. Never take Carolina on the road. Never take Tennessee on the road.
I could agree there. I mean, Carolina did cover on Thursday night on the road, though, but
that's fine.
Yeah, they covered by half a point. But yeah, I mean, just these rookie quarterbacks, I don't like betting on, to be honest with you, unless they're playing another one and just a very bad team. So like, I probably don't back Levis many times the rest of the year. I probably don't back Bryce Young many times the rest of the year. Who else? Levis. Probably don't back him at all. I very rarely back a guy like Zach Wilson. So it's like, I just stay away.
I can't wait to start talking about Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's only there because they didn't want to bring in a guy knowing that Rodgers might be back to like a lot sooner than expected.
Okay. Well, anyways, any more victory lap on there? Because I was absolutely wrong. That game wasn't even close. No, it wasn't even close.
It was a pass funnel defense against
But they ran the ball.
Not well. I mean, Rachaad White scored his touchdown off a screen pass, and then Mike Evans.
Okay, but to me, that counts as running the ball.
I mean, if you go back and watch the play, like I agree, but if you go back and watch that play,
I did watch that play. I was disgusted.
It was a delayed screen where all 4 linemen got out in front of him, then the dump off. So I mean, I guess
it's a run.
It worked perfectly. Like it
just reminded me of the old West Coast idea where we're like, okay, we're not just going to hand the ball off, but this is essentially a run play because we're getting the ball in the hand of our running backs.
I gotcha.
Clyde, perfect rotation, and Clyde are not excited about talking about Zach Wilson. All right, cool. I think I'll be able to rile up the chat once again, Tyler. Again, that we didn't get involved with, and it was fun because we just got. I know you were pissed, but I got to just watch it and not really care what happened. And that was the Cardinals beating the Falcons. Kyler Murray, 249 yards. He looks fast, man. He looks fast. And I know everyone's going to say, oh, he's back. He's a franchise QB. You got to remember this was against a Falcons team that puts a lot of pressure on their defense with their inability to move the ball. So Murray looked good. I still have the same criticisms of him that I've always had. Those aren't going to go away. Right? When we talk about quarterbacks will only get you so far, right, Tyler? I mean, the guy's never going to win a title unless he was on like the Niners or the Eagles or some team that's just the other 52 are just studs. Would you agree that? Or am I? 5-star always gets mad at me. He thinks that Kyler's way better than I give him credit for.
I think he's
better. Then I just listen to the groupthink around him.
Than you give him credit for.
Yeah.
I mean, when this team, what was it 2 years ago when they started off like 11-1 or something like that, before he sprained an ankle and then they started to fall off. They ended up making the wild card. It was the year the Rams won the Super Bowl. They played the Rams in the wild card.
And the Rams beat them like 30-3. Was that the first Monday Night Football playoff game ever?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he was leading the MVP race that most of that year up until that he rolled his ankle. He couldn't use his mobility anymore. Guys started to fall apart. The team fell apart. I think he's still talented. I think he could be a franchise guy. I think he's going to win them games and push them out of this Caleb Williams talk. And maybe
that's why he rushed to come back, right?
Yeah, he wanted to make sure he wasn't getting bounced around. I think he's going to do enough of that. I mean, the only thing you can argue about this guy and like say, well, this is bad is his height. You can't tell me his accuracy is bad because if he has accuracy problems, he wouldn't have been drafted in the top 5 in baseball too. So
here's going to be my 2 complaints about him: durability and leadership. How would you respond to those?
The leadership part, I think he's still young. I think not a lot of these young guys can step in like Burrow and Stroud have done and just be like, all right, I'm going to get all these guys like on the same page. They're going to listen to me. Like the older guys are going to be like, oh, this young kid's like actually like ready to lead us. I don't think he's there yet. Could he get there in a couple years? Yes, but it's going to take some time. And the durability part, I mean,
can't argue that one.
Yeah, you can't argue that. It's going to be with these smaller quarterbacks like this. But he's not much smaller than Drew Brees. And I know Drew Brees at the end of his career had bad injuries, and the shoulder injury at the beginning with the Chargers was bad. But outside of that, he stayed pretty healthy because he had a good offensive line.
He also got rid of the ball in like 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, if
will Kyler ever do that? Because then you're taking away the backyard football aspect of it.
No, I don't think he'll ever do that. But if you get him a good offensive line and give him a couple seconds to stand in there, I think you start to get some of those quicker passes where he's getting it out. But when he has to hold the ball longer because they block well for him and one guy gets back there, he's just going to run around and make plays. He's almost like the new generation version of Drew Brees, I'd say, with legs. No leadership yet, though.
Okay. Yeah, the ability to read defenses and the accuracy is where I think that comparison falls apart. But we will see. And I'm kind of walking back my Kyler is just absolutely terrible take. Now I think that he's a good player with a bad contract. Probably still a little bit overpaid, right, for what you're getting. Okay. But that's the way it is in the NFL.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like...
It's not like a Daniel Jones contract. I mean, that's terrible.
If next year, if he's back in the MVP conversation, does the contract look bad?
No, but I just don't think he will be.
Me neither, but if he gets there, it's like he's on the cheaper end of these big contract quarterbacks now and looks like a steal.
Okay. All right. Well, plenty of debate there about the Cardinals, but one thing we can't debate is that they got the win. They moved to 2-8. They're 25-23. That allowed the Patriots to move into that number 3 spot there because for whatever reason, right now in the draft, the Patriots will pick higher than the Cardinals, even though they have the same record. The Detroit Lions are 7-2. But Tyler, why do we have to sweat this game, bro?
I mean,
is the Chargers offense that good, or should I be worried about this Lions defense? That's my first question for you.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I still think the Chargers offense is pretty good.
I think the Chargers are better than people give them credit for, and they're better than their record shows. They've played – you just go through their 9 games. Like, I know they had a hiccup game here and there, but, like, they played the Chiefs. Like, they played some hard teams on that schedule. They played Miami week 1. Like, they've played a lot of these good teams tough. Like, so I think their offense is pretty good. Keenan Allen had a great game. Herbert was able to find some of the other receivers. Eckler did decent. They have pieces. It's just the coaching. I think that's what messes them up.
And do you remember when we had Title on the show when we were doing this last year? And he always would reinforce that football players believe. Remember, he got the quote from the guy they interviewed, and I can't remember his name now. Excuse me. But they brought on an offensive lineman, and they interviewed him. And he said, the players feel like whenever you lose a game by less than 1 score, it's the coaching. Right? And then that's the difference in these 1-score games. And when you have it coached and been criticized by us, we're not the only ones, right? I mean, us, by everyone who watches the NFL. And they consistently do this. I mean, that's the only thing you can point to. Justin Herbert, 323 yards, 4 TDs. And I know, we were talking about this earlier, but to me, he's right in that tier where he's like almost elite to me. He's above like Lawrence and the rest of these guys.
I think him and Lawrence are in the same category, but that's me.
Oh, I think he's so much better than Trevor right now. I think the only players he's not up there with are Mahomes and Burrow. And you're going to hate this, but Allen. I think Allen's just dragging a not very good Bills team.
I think Allen, Herbert, and Lawrence could all be categorized in a same tier together. And we could sit here for hours and debate how those 3 would rank in that tier. I think Mahomes is here.
To me, it's Allen, Herbert.
Mahomes is here. Okay. There's a tier below him with, say, Burrow, Hurts.
I think Burrow's way better than Hurts. Imagine Joe Burrow on that Philadelphia offense.
Oh, I mean, he'd look great.
The only thing is they wouldn't be able to do that tush-push deal, but I mean, bro, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith would be eating.
I'd say those 2 are the next tier. You could argue maybe Lamar's in there, but I say no. And then there's the tier of the 3 guys.
I'd say Lamar's there.
I think the title you put on this tier of Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence is the physical freaks that everyone's ready to pencil in as the next coming. and none of the three are there yet.
All right. Once again, I think
Lamar can maybe go into that tier too because of his running ability.
Because I think Allen's dealing with a lot of the things that Herbert's dealing with as far as the offensive coaching is not that good. I think McDermott does a good job on the defensive side of the ball with a below average roster after the injuries. I'm not blaming the Bills front office for that. All right, enough of that talk though. Cowboys, Giants, whoop-de-doo. Do we even talk about this one?
No. Okay. I mean, how easy was the 27.5 on their team total? I know they got over the full game total.
And that was pretty cool how I got the plus 130 by making it 28.5 for my bet.
We got the better odds there, and they had it by the first half, so it was nice to cash that one. The one thing I do have one complaint spread. I made a little touchdown parlay at 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
It was Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
It was David Montgomery. Mm-hmm. You see the trend going here? Any guesses on who the third guy was?
Tony Pollard, because we messaged about it.
And everybody on Dallas' team scored except for Tony Pollard. Just wasn't fun.
I don't know what to say about that except for, once again, this is where as bettors we got to get away from what these fantasy guys are telling us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, get rid of Zeke. Pollard's so much better. Pollard should get the ball every time.
And then Pollard's legs.
What, guys? These coaches know a little bit more than you. They see these guys every single day. So he knows, like, hey, you know what? I can't just give it to Pollard every time because he wears down. He loses some of his juice. He doesn't have the physical durability that a guy like Ezekiel Elliott has. So, yeah, I know it sucked if you bet on the Cowboys last year and Zeke got that huge hole and he was so slow he couldn't get anywhere. But you know what he did do was wear down that defense, and then Pollard got in there, and he was so much faster, and it was in small doses. So like I said, I was thinking about that this morning, Tyler. I think the number one way to win in betting in the NBA and the NFL for the next 5 years is going to be able to find where fantasy is overrating players and teams, right?
I like that.
Even go back to Herbert. To use your argument for Herbert. Do you think that people like me are overrating Herbert because he's always a top 5 fantasy quarterback, but he's not winning games?
To a point, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something that I think that we need to
do. Same thing with Josh Allen.
How? Well, okay, you're right. I think you're right. I think you're right because 2 years ago people had Allen better than Mahomes, and I said there's no way.
Remember the tweet you sent me where it's like everyone celebrates you because you went into overtime with Mahomes and scored 27 points in overtime in like 2 minutes, but you lost. Like,
all right.
He hasn't done anything. He's just a physical freak that has crazy plays here and there.
So, Tyler, the Steelers leg that the teaser leg that I have still alive was I matched the Steelers and the Bills. Why do I keep saying Steelers? Seahawks and the Bills. That got home for us. I got to get a live bet in for the Seahawks there that actually was able to turn yesterday into a winning day. Even though I thought the Jaguars were going to win. I mean, if you picked the Jaguars and you still came out with a winning day yesterday like I did, I think you have to be pretty proud of yourself. And I did things by jumping in on that Seahawks game live. I mean, Tyler Lockett, the go-ahead touchdown, that catch was unbelievable. I'll tell you what, I was a little disappointed in the Seahawks defense, Tyler, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more on Thursday with Meg. But maybe Sam Howell's just pretty good.
I mean, he's leading the league in passing yards right now.
Yeah. And I don't think that Seahawks defense is bad. And I talked about all week. Remember when I was banging the table for Seattle?
Tried to say he was the best quarterback coming out of that draft 2 years ago. And instead, the Steelers took some guy named Kenny Pickett who can't throw for 200 yards.
Tyler, don't worry. I have a big Post-it note right here that says, listen to Tyler more. Okay, do you know how much money I've left on the table by not listening to you? So, yes, I understand that. So where is Howell right now? Just for 1 week, going into week 11, where is he on your quarterback rankings? I mean, I think he's up to like 15 or 16.
Yeah, I'd say he's top 15. I'd say he's easily top 15.
Yeah, because we have so many guys.
I don't want to call him Jameis Winston because his mistakes aren't as bad. And
I think he's sharper.
It's just it's him holding the ball more. I'd say he's like this is kind of like a weird take. Mm-hmm. Isn't he like a smaller version of like a young Ben Roethlisberger? Remember when Ben used to hold the ball for entirely too long?
Mm-hmm.
He's not as big as he was to where like Ben would just shed these guys off. Like Hal was getting sacked to where Ben just threw him off of him and tried to make plays.
Right.
But they both held the ball for entirely too long. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of like the guy he is as of right now. But I think he's going to be solid. I think that's their quarterback of the future. You got him on a cheap deal. It wouldn't surprise me if they're the team in free agency if they go out and just spend all their money. Like if you're watching, it's like Commanders sign this guy and this guy.
But see, the thing to me is they don't even need the weapons. They just need to sign linemen.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like if all the top linemen and all the top defensive guys in free agency, like if 50% of them end up in Washington.
Yeah. I mean,
new owner wants to get the team better. I could see this all coming together in the offseason.
Well, I'll tell you what, and we're going to talk about this a little more on Thursday, but I'm pretty excited for who the Commanders have, and I'm taking them off my list of teams that need to draft a quarterback.
For Commanders' sake, like it'd be nice to see them win some games, but they're not going to get into the playoffs. Get a better draft pick. Get one of these top stud receivers for him. Get another weapon for him.
I think you need to build. I think you need to build positive momentum.
Offensive lineman, but try and get farther up that draft board.
I don't think it matters. I think you just nail your draft picks wherever they come to you. You build positive momentum. You look at what Eric Bieniemy's doing with the development here, and once again, it's another feather in the cap of this guy. I mean, he must do terrible interviews because the work he's putting on the field, and you can say, "Oh well, Reed didn't design the offense. Reed calls the plays." Well, offense did look better last year, right? You could say, "Oh well, they don't have Tyreek anymore. They didn't have Tyreek last year." Offense looks worse in Kansas City without Bieniemy being there, and it looks better in Washington. Let's give this guy his credit, and Sam Howell is the man. But Tyler, now we've come to the moment that I've been waiting
Here's
for.
A good question. Okay. What happens to Bieniemy when Rivera gets fired?
I think you make him the head coach. You have to. You need continuity there.
Now this is one of those weird ones where is he going to be like how Hackett or Gase was, where it's like, great offensive coordinator, looked great in multiple places, but the moment you gave him the job, it's like he couldn't communicate with the guys or something. Like it just went down the drain and made him look bad. I hope he's not one of those guys, but I do think he does end up getting that head coaching job. But we've seen stuff like
I can go two ways on there. Number one, he's abrasive, so maybe this younger generation doesn't fit well to that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Or like, how some of these teams are.
He's a former player, dude. And it's just like.
He should be fine then, former player. Like,
right. Don't you think they give him a little more respect than Adam Gase, where it's like,
yeah.
Can you imagine Adam Gase criticizing you and you're like 6'4" and you're jacked and this guy that like, he probably looks like a girl when he throws the ball, right?
I mean, how many times have you heard it before where it's like you get criticized for something, or like the fat guy at the gym, you're like shooting pickup and he's sitting on the bench, says something, and it's like, why don't you come out here and do it? Like, you've never done it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like stuff like that. The football players get into that mode. So yeah.
I can completely see, especially with these guys that just look like nerds.
Yeah.
It's like, shut up, dude.
Rolls in with his clipboard, his glasses on, weighs like as much as me, goes in, tries to tell this 300-pound guy how to do his job. He's got to move him to the left instead of the right. He's just like, get out.
I can't remember which pod I was listening to, but they were talking about Staley. Right? Staley's a small dude, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, like Vrabel or, and we're going to talk about this soon, Antonio Pierce, they can go get in a dude's face.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, he could stand like nose to nose with their middle linebacker, right? And he probably knows he'll lose a fight, but I mean, he can get up there, right? And still intimidate people.
When you're the smaller guys, you got to play the role well, like McDaniel does in Miami. He knows he's a nerd. Plays his role very well.
And I think so, and I think they buy into that. But going back to Staley, if you can't confront these players and you can't hold them accountable, I think that's what's happening in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and I think that's what a guy like Bieniemy has. They know he's bad. I mean, go look at his highlights, right? I mean, he was one of my favorite players. Richie Smols is in a coach's fight. Saleh versus Campbell. Okay, first of all, Vrabel would beat Saleh.
I was about to say, Dan Campbell's a little too old to be fighting Saleh, I think.
You think Saleh would beat Campbell?
I mean, isn't Campbell like 60-some years old?
Dan Campbell? No, he's probably like my age.
You look
Probably like late 40s, early 50s.
Is he just one of these guys that looks very old?
And he's got like 50 pounds on him.
Yeah, he's 47.
Oh, yeah, it's exactly my age. Yeah, I got Campbell. But overall, who would you take out of all of them?
Out of all of them?
The MMA tournament.
MMA tournament? Arthur Smith, because he's coming with some wild strategy that no one's ever seen before.
I know. I'll take my guy, Antonio Pierce. Yeah, I got Pierce now in the new one. Let's talk about my guy, Tyler. You know, I've been waiting for how many hours has it been? About 21 hours to be able to do this, Tyler. A little less. 16 hours, something like that. But you know how happy I am right now watching that team down in Las Vegas? How awesome was it, dude? So here's my favorite play of the game, right? It's 2nd and 5. Jacobs gets bottled up, but he refuses to go down. The whole team goes over and creates a rugby scrum. Now, to me, that's coaching. And obviously, Pierce didn't specifically coach his players to run over there. But my point is, he's got these guys where they're all in. They just want to keep fighting. And I just felt like the turnaround in the building was so exciting. Are we probably going to get stopped next week? Yes, we are. But I'm excited as a Raiders fan. And I hope, even regardless of what happens, we keep some continuity and we keep this guy in here. So I was so high on the Raiders, how they were able to do. But obviously my perspective is so biased. As an unbiased observer, what did you see in that game? And while you break that down, I'm listening. I'll be right back, though.
I got to start the breakdown off with, do you think I watched that shitty game last night, Spread? Like that game, I didn't turn that game on my TV once. Check the scores a couple of times. See they kicked a bunch of field goals. I mean, if you watch the game outside of having it lock up some plays at the end of the night, kudos to you for being a great football fan. But I have no real take on that game because there was no way I was watching that. I watched the NBA at the end of the night, the Minnesota Golden State game, which we got home. Did not watch the Jets and the Raiders for a split second. Was not interested in an AOC versus Zach Wilson matchup. So while our guy Spread comes back here he comes now.
Bro, are you serious?
You think I watched that game?
Why would you not?
Why would I?
For me, your pal, the Raiders fan.
You won. I'm happy for you. I didn't have to watch 2 hours of shitty football.
What did you guys think of O'Connell in the chat? Because that was what I was going to ask Tyler. I know he didn't look that good, but nobody looks good against that Jets defense. I was happy overall.
I don't think. I mean, from what I've seen from the stats and everything on Twitter, why not just play Jimmy G with a new coach?
Because where's Jimmy G going to get you?
Where's AOC going to get you?
You can at least find out whether or not he's good or not.
I think you know already.
How do you know? Because he couldn't beat the Jets? Did you see that other guy's numbers against the Jets?
I mean,
nobody does good against the Jets. Did you see Josh Allen against the Jets?
He didn't do good against the Chargers.
Who? That was his first start ever in the NFL.
And what about the second one?
He won.
Who was that against?
Who was that against? No, we lost to the Bears. Who did we beat? Oh, the Giants.
Yeah. He stinks.
How does he stink? Oh my gosh. You got to watch the game before you tell me he stinks.
They beat the Giants. I watched that one, and that was just Josh Jacobs running the ball repeatedly because they grabbed the lead and just rode the run game. So he
okay, and if you have a linebacker as your head coach, that's what you should be doing.
Understandable. But, I mean, the dude can't throw the ball. You're not winning anything in today's NFL.
I think he could throw it. He had a nice pass. So the people who actually watch the game with me are going to join us. Are going to join me and say he had some good throws. Like he overthrew Devontae on one, but I felt like he was fighting Adams. He hit Myers in stride. Myers is great at getting an extra couple yards just by being shifty. Renfro was involved in the offense again. I'm excited about AOC, and I'm not ready to write him off after 2 starts like you are, Tyler. I mean, come on. 2 starts? I mean, what did Trevor Lawrence look like after 2 games?
Trevor Lawrence was playing in an Urban Meyer system.
We were playing under. Okay, let's go the worst coaching.
No. His couple starts came under your boy from Compton. What about that?
1 start, and he won.
He started twice under your boy from Compton.
And he's 2-0.
And he's got about 36 passing yards and no touchdowns.
I don't care.
He might as well put a leather helmet on and just illegalize the fucking forward pass.
You are being such a hater right now, bro. Can I enjoy this?
I mean, you guys won. I'm happy, but your quarterback stinks. You just beat up on the two worst teams in the NFL. It just both so happen to resign.
The Jets are not one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Their offense is dragging them so far behind. Yes, they are.
Bro, he doesn't even want to give me my flowers, JC.
I gave him credit. I said I'm happy for him, but
he didn't even watch the game.
I mean, why would I watch it? It stunk.
It was awesome. It was so fun.
I got to apologize.
Why is that?
I thought we had a 3:00 show.
Okay.
Never saw the notification.
Well, you're here now. Let's dive right in. We're talking about the Raiders and the Jets. Did you watch it, JC?
No, I didn't.
You guys are such haters. They call me a hater. All right. Here's my final take of this game. Zach Wilson isn't as bad as they make him to look, as he looks. He's in the worst style of offense for him.
No, he stinks.
Yeah, he's just bad.
He has flashes of talent here and
there. If you put him in a more freewheeling style of offense rather than this linebacker style offense.
His decision making is worse than Jameis. It's just not.
How? What? I'm going back to last night, then I'm the only one to watch. But what bad decisions did he really make last night?
I mean, I'm not talking about last night because I have nothing to take off of last night because I didn't watch it. But just some of the decisions I've seen the kid make throughout games, it's either his first read to Wilson or he's trying to run and then he just whips one down the field. And he has a very bad habit of trying to get to the sideline and try and throw these balls where he thinks only the receiver can get to it. And he throws a pick on him 9 times out of 10. I don't think.
But as a second-year player who's got plenty of arm talent, I mean, shouldn't he be coached through these things?
Yes and no. I don't think the arm talent's there. The head talent's not there. He has nothing up here.
I mean, if they allow him to throw the ball 39 times, he only completes it 23% or 23 times of the 39. It's not great.
I don't want to look at the box scores. Here's what I want to look at. If he was in a freewheeling offense, I think he would do good.
If he's in a freewheeling offense, the easiest bet of every NFL season would be him to lead
the league in turnovers. I know.
You want to know what I want to look at?
Yeah.
When was the last time we did this show at 3:00 Eastern? I rescind my apology.
Did we not usually?
We never. It's always 4 Eastern, 3:00 my time.
Blame that guy. This guy over there.
I apologize.
Here, I was thinking I was late.
Did we really do NBA first?
Yeah.
On Mondays?
Normally I watch the NBA show when I'm picking up my daughter from daycare, which is 2 to 3. I get home at 2:45.
Okay. I won't make that mistake again.
They're saying.
How about this, JC? I apologize.
Thank you, Spread.
You know
who doesn't? Spread. You know who doesn't need to apologize?
Who?
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Thank you. I'm glad you did. You at least bet the game with me and get some money?
Dude. I went double units.
It is usually 4 each. So I'm sorry.
You know what else?
Guys, I'm a little out of source right
JC?
now.
They're not letting us bet the Niners.
I did. I am. Yeah. I'm not that sad. This was a good show for me to miss, honestly, with as many bad takes as I had. But yeah. Both. Well, I mean, lines pushed, but our favorite pick, here's my favorite pick from the 1:00 slate and the 3:00 slate.
At least I watched the game I was wrong on.
Oh, trust me, I watched the games I was wrong on too. That one I was right.
All right, JC, any more overall thoughts from yesterday before we jump on? I guess the only thing that I'll ask you right off the bat, who would you rather have, Josh Allen or Trevor Lawrence?
Josh Allen.
Okay, thank you.
No question.
Any other takeaways from yesterday?
Yeah, dude. I've become successful in sports betting by honing in on the underdogs. That's where the value is. That's where the money is to be made. On Friday or Saturday, I said, man, I love all the favorites this weekend. I love them all. And boy, like 3 favorites, like so many favorites lost. So just going to get back to the basics next weekend. Just look at the underdogs because all the favorites let us down, except for.
Let's talk about tonight. Are you going to be looking to the underdog tonight when the Buffalo Bills are -7.5 hosting the Denver Broncos at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York? This game will be on ABC. I don't know if there's a Manning cast or not. The Broncos come into this game at 3-5, although in our head it feels like we have them much worse, right? I mean, a 5-4 versus a 3-5 doesn't really feel as lopsided as it feels like I have this going into this game. We already talked about it, so we have that one teaser option, and of course you could tease the Bills down and pair them with something for next week. But let's break this game down from a betting perspective for tonight, and let's take out the teaser as the option because we're all aware that, of course, it's a good option to tease the Bills down. But, Tyler, at 7.5, how are you approaching this game between the Broncos and the Bills?
Russell Wilson shreds his defense tonight. And
you think so, huh?
Right. Yep. Bills
Wait,
defense,
what?
Bills defense hasn't been able to stop anyone. They almost if Chris Godwin could have opened his eyes on that Hail Mary on Thursday night last week, they have another loss because he catches that Hail Mary. Then they go to Cincy, lose the game that everyone thought they were going to lose. They haven't gotten anything back on this defense. Their offense has become very stagnant. Denver's on the other side, after starting as one of the worst teams we've ever seen, slowly, surely have started to put things together. Javante's back. The offense is starting to look a little better. I think Javonte Williams could run through this defense tonight. I like him to score a touchdown here. You're getting a nice price on that. You're getting plus 150. I think Cortland Sutton could also get he has touchdowns in 6 of 7 games. He's plus 165. Russ to throw 2 touchdowns is plus 170. A lot of these prop prices are plus money, and the Bills defense can't stop a high school team right now. I'm on the plus 7.5. I think there's a chance Denver wins this game outright. I'm not sold on the Bills at all.
So do you think I should hedge my teaser? I mean, it's what? What's it on the money line? I got plus. Oh, wait, I'm on basketball.
For who? For Denver or Buffalo?
Well, I mean, I'd be hedge. I have plus 314, Tyler.
No, I think
if for Broncos to win outright. First of all, I completely disagree with Tyler.
I mean, it's Broncos or pass for me. For sure. Like, I'm definitely worried. Like, under, I think, is the best bet in this game. Under 47.5. No way it gets up that high. We just don't know what to make of Buffalo. It's extreme inconsistency. It's a little hard to predict another loss here, though, because looking at their schedule, they're mostly losing to good teams. You know, like lost to Cincy, beat Tampa Bay, lost to New England was pretty bad, but divisional game, beat the Giants. So if they do pull out a win here, it's going to be a close one. I might.
Here's another thing, JC. Wipe the names off of these. We got Team A, Team B.
Mm-hmm.
How you just read their schedule. Team A has beat a bunch of teams that have no receivers and can't throw the ball. Team A is missing all their DBs, and Team B is bringing in 2 very, very good receivers so that they can get the ball to.
And I think the other problem too is we're blinded by what we saw at the start of the season for Denver. Yep. So you take the recent body of work. I mean, this isn't a 7-point game. I might bump it up a little bit just to be safe. Maybe go like Denver plus 10, parlayed under 50 points, something like that. But I don't see any way to bet the Bills in any way. Even if you do some kind of teaser or parlay, I don't even like Buffalo money line. It's completely Denver or pass.
You guys are crazy.
Break it down for us, Fred.
Okay, so first of all, situationally, right? When do we really want to take a good team? Off a loss, of course, right? We don't want to take a team off a 24-point win. We want to take them off a loss where they're focused. They know they need to go. Tyler keeps harping on this. This Bills team is barely in playoff position right now. This is a must-win game for them. Let's go to the other side.
Okay.
Who's coming off their biggest win of like the last 3 years? The Denver Broncos. They finally get things together. They defeat the Chiefs 24-9, and then they get to take a bye where they get to hear how great they are for a week or two. I just think this is a smash spot for the Bills. I think they bounce back in a big way, and you're going to see one team is a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and you guys are going to scoff at me for saying that, but they are.
I mean, but that's the problem, right? Is you said this team needs a win. They haven't proven they can come up with the win, right? Like we're still talking about
5 times.
The Bills of 2022. We haven't seen anything that impressive from Buffalo this season.
And since their defensive guys,
they beat Miami. That's not impressive.
I mean, that was so long ago, and maybe it isn't,
right?
And Miami's a fraud.
That was the game. All their defensive guys started to fall apart, and ever since then, they do not look like the same team. And I love the way Spread's beginning of his breakdown was we got to bet a team off a loss, and the other one's coming off a win. But we couldn't take San Fran on Sunday.
I was going to say that next.
Okay, how many times do I have to take that L?
I'm just saying you're trying to.
Bro, you're going to have me dressed up like Luigi by the end of this freaking show.
I'm just saying. You're talking about this the same way we were talking about that game, the Jacksonville-San Francisco game, and it's not the same situation
because and Buffalo had who did Buffalo get back off the injury report? Nobody.
Right.
All right. You guys are making some good points here. You kind of like actually shut me down a little bit as far as my argument.
I will say one thing though. If you're right, you're gonna be right by a mile.
Right.
Like
for sure.
It's gonna be like Buffalo 35, Denver 10.
Right.
But if we're right, it's gonna be like this game's close. There's Josh Allen pissing down his leg like always. Russell Wilson game-winning drive into a field goal.
It's exactly.
How about this? I'm going to simplify it. This game comes down to can the Broncos score? Okay.
Yeah.
Will you guys agree with me that the Bills will probably reach their team total tonight? That this Bills team should be able to put up points against this Broncos defense?
What's their team total?
I mean, I could look real quick, but
for
the sake of my argument, I think the Bills are going to score. If the Broncos cover, it's because the Broncos are scoring too.
I don't think it's quite that high. 27.5. I don't know. I mean, when was the last time we saw that? I don't know if we've seen that this season. Miami?
So what's the Broncos team total?
19.5.
So do you think they go over their team total? You have to if you're making this bet, right?
Yes. Broncos absolutely will. But I could see it being more like a 21-24 type game.
Okay. Well, basically what I'm saying is my handicap for this game comes down to, do you believe that the Broncos will be able to move the ball on this Bills defense? And I understand all your points about that this team's getting healthier, but I'm just saying
that's why
prime time environment, one of the best home field advantages in the league. I don't think things are going to go as smoothly as they did at home against a Kansas City team that cut through the ball and completely overlooked them.
Kurt Gray, don't do that to yourself, man. There's no way this game goes over.
How do you figure?
Because, like I said, it's either going to be.
You just said you think that the Bills' defense sucks and Russell Wilson's going to be able to put up points. The Bills are going to be able to put up points on this Broncos defense. This Broncos defense is not good.
Spread, what did I say? What was my score?
24 to what?
21. And that would be?
45.
Which would be?
Sorry, I didn't know you knew the exact score of the game. I mean, you got it within a 2-point threshold. I can understand if your final score is like 14-10, right? That's like 20 points under.
The reason I like the under so much is it's either going to be just a low-scoring game, or relatively low-scoring like that, or like we said, Buffalo smashes 35-10 and we still hit an under. I just don't see a way. I'm sorry, Nasty Nate, Mr. Trifecta. I just don't. Also, just Just the data, man. When was the last time we saw an over in prime time? You want to bet the
last
Broncos?
Week?
Huh?
Like last week we had an over in primetime, didn't we? I mean, it's like 61%. It's not like 100%.
Broncos are at 4-4 to over under. Buffalo's 3-6. The idea of taking the over in a Broncos primetime game makes me want to throw up. No shot.
The idea that you're so against an over against two of the more these defenses aren't good. That's what I'm trying to say. Words aren't coming out right.
Neither are the offenses.
Tyler, where would you rather bet, over or under in this game?
I mean, I'm on Denver, so I probably lean towards the under. But I think there's a pathway where there's a pathway where either team wins and it goes over. Because the Bills could just roll in and play at 1,000 miles an hour and hang 40 on their own.
Yeah.
And then Denver gets some garbage time points, pushes it over. Or both offenses march up and down and you get like a 27-24 final. So, I mean, I think it can go either way.
I love it. Everyone's putting their exact. See what you got everyone doing, JC? I mean, we're not even getting. I'm taking the Broncos now. People throwing exact scores in here. Ruben Corzo says 23-20 Broncos. Felix says 23-16 Broncos. And Nasty Nate says he's taking the Bills and the over, but he's teasing them.
I'll tell you one thing about this game. Something's got to give. Either Denver should be able to run the ball, or Buffalo's going to stuff their run. Because from the Miami game, when they started to lose their defenders, the next following week, they gave up almost 200 to Jacksonville and then a $132 to the Giants on the ground. But since then, 96, 78, 54, they've been great at stuffing teams on the run. But then you look at Denver. Ever since they beat that, they were able to put together the win against Chicago, which was a couple weeks ago. They had 97 rushing yards in that game. Since then, 139, 115, 145, 153. Something's got to give. If Denver's able to run the ball, I think you get on Denver early in this game if you're not already on them. Like, if you're watching them just establish the run, Javonte Williams is running through this defense.
Keg likes Jaleel McLaughlin. We have to make sure that's said.
Yeah,
I didn't put the screen on, but he thinks Jaleel McLaughlin's going
to right here
get a majority of the carries tonight.
Yeah, I mean, McLaughlin.
But from a betting perspective, it doesn't matter who's running. It matters that they are running.
Yeah, my worry about that, though, is this is Sean Payton coach team.
Okay.
We remember what he used to do with the Saints when you had Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. There was the last name was Bell. They had him there. They will rotate all three of these guys for Denver. You'll even see P. Ryan get in there too with McLaughlin and Javonte.
Mm-hmm.
My thing about Javonte is I think he gets the goal line work. If they get a lead, I think he's the guy that pounds it. Jaleel McLaughlin's more the pass guy. In my eyes, I could be wrong about that. But I think he gets more of the dump-offs when they're down. So I'm on Javonte more here tonight.
This also seems like the kind of spot you can take the Broncos and then just watch like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is the perfect game where it's like either the only way I think it's like, oh, like I lost my live bet after watching the first couple drives would be if the Bills come out, they score, and then Denver scores back, and you're like, well, the Bills look like they were gonna step on the gas. You bet on them, they score again, they take the lead, you feel good about yourself, and then their offense shuts off like it's done for weeks.
Like it did against Tampa Bay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I'm really grabbing from this conversation is this is a great game to bet live, and you're on the right channel to do that. Make sure you're subscribed to Nuke the House. You'll get notified. Now, last time I gave this promo, you told me Keg wasn't going live tonight. Am I okay? Is Keg going live tonight, Tyler?
I thought
I haven't seen anything that says he's not. So
okay, cool. Because I gave this very same promo last week, and then you told me he's not going live. But make sure you're subscribed, and you can jump in there live. I mean, what did he do yesterday, Tyler? Just like a cool 16-3.
Yeah.
Just a cool 16-3. Keg also got, yes, he will be live tonight. Keg, I also got to give you props. I went to my buddy's house. I hadn't seen him for a while. We had a little UFC party. And so Tyler and I, when we were doing our NBA, I jumped on the Nuke the House sheet, and I just bet all the plays that you put up there, right? All these guys are like, You know so much about UFC. You know so much about. I said, guys, these aren't my picks. How many times do I have to say it? Because I just kept winning over and over again. A fun night, and thank you for those winners as well. So make sure you guys are taking advantage of all these free resources to help make you money. Tyler, another way that you guys, right, we all work together to make money is for me to know my role and know that you are better at props than I am. What props do you like for tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Javonte props. I like the Russell Wilson one we already talked about. And I didn't mind the Cortland Sutton to get in the end zone.
All right. So Tyler's looking at it from a Broncos perspective. And from your breakdown, JC, my guess is that you are as well. Did you dial up some props that you like? And do you have first touchdown scores that you're going in on? Or anytime, because I know you hate first.
I hate first touchdown. No, I mean, to answer your first question, I really like Josh Allen over 33.5 rushing yards. Because if this game goes like we think it's going to go, he's going to be desperate to get something shaken, something going for his offense. So I'm going to be on the lookout for him to take off. For anytime touchdown, I mean, it's chalky, but I feel like McLaughlin's the way to go here. What do I got? Maybe that's not too chalky. Oh, plus 260. Never mind. That's a great. Take McLaughlin anytime TD plus 260. I like that a lot.
All right. So Keg's not the only one who thinks Jaleel McLaughlin's going to have a good night tonight. And the only good thing about these shows, JC and Tyler, is that we've been disagreeing a lot. So one of us will be able to victory lap tomorrow. As I like the Bills laying the points here, I think this is a smash spot. And that while the Broncos are showing that they're not like the worst team in the league, as they appeared to be through the first three games. What's that noise? Oh, is that Tyler's phone? Okay. Tyler doesn't want to hear my breakdown. But I think this is just where we see the difference between a Super Bowl contender and then an average team. Listening to some other pods.
If that's what it is.
Pardon?
If that's what it is.
And what would it be otherwise? You don't think the Bulls you don't think the Bills are a Super Bowl contender, do you?
I think we don't know. I don't think we can say at this point.
I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to win the championship. I'm not saying bet the Bills at 10-1 or whatever their number is. I'm just saying it's not out of the realm of possibility. For example, it's out of the realm of possibility. As fun as this team was for me yesterday, it's out of the possibility that the Raiders win the championship, right? It's out of the realm of possibility. I would say even the Houston Texans, as fun as that story is. The Bills are still possible. They're contenders.
I guess.
I don't even get an answer.
I mean, yeah, by definition, sure. But I'm just saying, like, I don't like this isn't like Cincy. This isn't like
all right, list your top contenders in the East. I mean in the AFC.
Chiefs number one in the AFC.
I hate to be that guy spread, but we started at 3. It's 4:30. I got to leave at 5, and we still have an NBA show to do.
All right, guys. Best bets for tonight. We'll continue this.
No, you're good, man. It was getting off the rails.
He's going to drag us to 5, and then he's going to want me to do it.
Because I don't have any friends, guys. You guys are the only people I get to talk to. What do you think my cat says when I try and talk to her about the NFL? All right.
I mean, you guys can go on, and I only have 2 NBA takes I can give them, and I can bounce.
All right, you want to come on with this, JC?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. So we're going to clean this up, and we'll be live right back on this channel at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. Real quick, Tyler, what's your best bet for the evening?
Yeah, Denver plus 7.5.
Okay. JC, your best bet for the evening?
Under 47.5.
All right. As much as I argued with you, I probably think the under is the best bet tonight as well. But I'm just going to ride this Bills money line. And if I had to take a side, I like the Bills minus 7.5. So next week, this show starts at what time? 4 Eastern?
Yeah.
All right. I'll remember that. My apologies. We'll be back for NBA in 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Give us that thumbs up. We're back soon.